Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Research podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds, and we are back this week from our hiatus of last week. We were scheduled at a haunted house Thursday and Friday. So before we get started, I just want to send a big shout out and thank you to Kim Thompson, Allie Wyatt, and the whole Marshall Cinema staff for inviting us this year to come down. I got to play one of the characters in the haunted house. You've probably seen pictures. It was a fun time, got a lot of good jump scares at people and gave some people nightmares, that's for sure. A lot of them wouldn't come in with me standing there in that mask and a knife standing there in my hand, um, so we got a good show tonight. We're gonna keep Halloween going because Halloween never ends, and, we got a spooky show tonight. My guest tonight, you probably will recognize this man from his work in the Young Indiana Jones, the Star Wars series. He was also in Hatchet 2, starring Kane Hodder. So without further ado, he's also a stuntman. So without further ado, and he's also a co-founder of Hollywood Ghost Hunters. And you've seen him on Ghost Adventures with Kane Hodder and RA. Without further ado, please welcome Rick McCullum.
Well, thank you, but I have to fix something right off the bat.
Okay.
You have put two people together. The guy that did Indiana Jones and Star Wars is a totally different person than me, but we have the same name.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people get that confused, but I mean, I can say, I have done 75 movies, so it's not like I'm some bum you found on the street. So, and, Kane's my best friend. We've done 30 movies together, horror movies. So I've been out there. But yeah, a lot of people make that mistake with the, because same name.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at that and I was like, is that him or?
Oh, I'm a lot better looking than that guy.
Well,
I think he probably has a bigger wallet than me, though.
So, tell my audience a little bit about yourself and how you got into the paranormal and formed Hollywood Ghost Hunters with Kane and RA.
Kind of got into ghost hunting by accident. When I was 13, my mom and I lived in Chicago with my grandma, and we weren't very well off. Let's put it that way. We didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we had everything we needed, but we didn't have a lot of extra.
Right.
Yeah, and my grandfather died. He was a security guard. He got killed cleaning his gun. So they say. A guy that's had guns his whole life, that probably doesn't happen to him.
Right.
But anyway, he wanted to be buried in Paducah, Kentucky. So we were in Chicago, and we, got the casket, put it on a train because we didn't have money to take airplanes, and so we went down to Paducah. We found out first off, my grandfather Joe Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
We thought he was 100% Irish. Turned out he was 100% Spartan.
Oh,
wow. He's from Sparta. All of his lineage was from Sparta. And his actual last name was Volholius because his brother was there to bury him, right? So he told us the story. But we walked out the door trying to find a place to a hotel because we didn't have time to set anything up. Wasn't the best part of town either, where we were at. And we just started walking, and we came across a thing that looked like it should have been in a horror movie. It was a 2-story brownstone with a neon light outside that was flickering and in a crummy part of town. We're like, oh boy. Right? So anyway, we went in there and my mother asked, he says, do you have any rooms? He goes, well, I got one left. And she asked him how much it is. And she goes, okay, we'll take it. And he goes, well, I have to tell you, it's haunted. Now, I wasn't close with my grandfather, only really met him a couple times, right? So
Right.
being 13 years old and being told you're going to sleep overnight in a haunted room, I was kind of like, woo, yes, you know. So we go up there, and the place, to describe it, looks like a volleyball court. It's all wood. It's a rectangle, and it's sideways. It's not this way. It's this way. And on each side, there's a rolling bed. So we were tired from all the traveling and everything else. So we both got in bed. There's maybe 20, more than a little over 20 feet between us. And we went to bed. In the middle of the night, I hear my mother scream. So I hop up and I'm going to go defend her with my whole 5'2" self, right? And I'm sitting up and I see her bed going towards me. I'm like, what? Huh? And then I realize my bed is going towards her. And they slammed in the middle, and we just sat there and looked at each other. And my mom looks at me and she goes, well, I guess that guy is right. So this is over 50 years ago. See this right here? It's not paint. Right. So it was over 50 years ago. This is before anybody heard the word debunk. But my mother was very smart, so we were trying to figure it out. So we got a glass because it was round, and we tried letting it roll on sides, see if the floors were warped, and maybe a truck, got them going. They weren't warped. So I went over and I got up against the wall and I got behind it and I shoved my bed as hard as I could, and it went 3 feet. So right then, I mean, we had no clue what to say other than the fact that it really was haunted. And because that happened, and there was nothing else to say other than it was haunted, I kind of went boom, and I was hooked. Right after that, I was all over wherever I went. I was trying to ghost hunt. So yeah, and then fortunately, it seems to be, without trying to sound like a jerk, and you can ask anybody that's ghost hunted me, spirits seem to like me. I mean, pretty much wherever I go, something happens. Not always, but most of the time. I mean, really weird stuff will happen.
Right.
So that even keeps me even more in there. That's, I've written 2 books about it. One of them, the first one, Ghosts Believe in Me, won the Paranormal Book of the Year award. So,
wow. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And one of the nice things about it, the 2 books, if you go under my name on Amazon, there's 2 books that I've written, both paranormal, and I give 100% of the profits to St. Jude Hospital.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to read a good book and do something good, Amazon, in my name, you'll find it. Might find stuff about Star Wars too.
Yeah, like I did.
Yes. You're not the first one, Russell. Trust me.
Oh, I'm sure. I probably won't be the last one either.
Yeah.
So, when you guys formed Hollywood Ghost Hunters, what year was it that you guys started out?
Well, that's a good question. It's probably 14 or 15 years ago. It's been a while. Kane and I were doing a movie in Mansfield Reformatory in Ohio.
Okay.
And that's a very haunted place. And Kane and I never talked about ghost hunting, right? I was pretty much out there on my own and never really told him anything about it. And it was like 2 a.m. And if you've ever been there, it's a huge place. And we were all the way at the back of the prison. And there was moonlight coming in over the rusted bars. And I mean, it looked like a horror movie place, which is why they use it for that so much. And Kane looks at me and goes, hey, let's ghost hunt. I never knew he liked that, right? So we're walking down the way. We're looking around, and I'll look down, and I see a shadow going across, maybe 60 yards away down the thing. Mm-hmm. Shadow slowly walking across in front of us. And I look over to say something to Kane, and he's gone. And I'm like, well, what the hell? Even the scary Jason guy runs away, right? And then I hear running in front of me because I look this way, and he'd run from behind me, and he was running down the way after it. So that's when I said, all right, if I'm going to start a group, this is the guy that's going to be my partner. So that's where we got started. We had some stuff happen there. I mean, it was a pretty cool place to. We were there for 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, we had plenty of time to screw around and look everywhere. So, and then as RA likes to say, we only got him, just make it, prettier people in the group, right? So we brought in RA. Our RA is so funny. You can fluster him so easy.
Oh
And,
yeah.
and it's not because he's stupid. He's very intelligent. But he's 6'5" and he weighs about 340 pounds. He's huge, right?
Hmm.
And he's very proud of it. But I can turn him into Hulk Hogan in like this fast, right?
Right.
I'll just go up to him and I'll say, God, all right, you're looking pretty big. What do you like, about 6'2", about 265? And he'll look at me and go, well, let me tell you something right now, brother. I'm 6'5" and 345 pounds of coiled steel and sex appeal. And Kane will look at him and he'll go, you ate a banana peel. What? He goes, no, I didn't say that. So Kane and I just torture that poor boy because we know we can outrun him.
I know I saw that one movie where Kane, RA, and then a few other horror movie actors were in, and they were on their way to a convention, and horror seems to find them.
Yeah,
And
that was
Kane,
the John Schneider movie.
yeah, and Kane says to RA, he goes, "You're the biggest scary guy out here."
Yeah, he's a big dude.
And RA's just kind of acting like a little wimpy guy.
That's we have a funny group. I mean, when the three of us are together, we have a lot of fun. But like I said, now that we all live in different states, and and Kane is always busy, so that's makes it real hard for us to ghost hunt together. So I end up going with different groups and everything else. Like I go to Scotland a lot,
Hmm.
and matter of fact, I'm going to be the ambassador for a tour in Ireland in this coming September.
Oh, nice.
So if you go to what is the name of this thing? Where'd it go? I'm looking. I'll find it. But I'm looking so forward to going to Scotland, to Ireland. I've been there once before, and it's actually a lot of fun. Um, but it's going to be September 1st through the 9th, and we get to go to some of the best haunted places: Leap Castle,
Oh,
Hellfire
yeah.
Club. Yeah. Um, I do believe it's called Mysterious Adventures Tours. So, but yeah, that I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, nice. So, Tesla, have you ever been there before?
You kind of froze up there.
Have you ever been to Lep Castle before?
Yeah, I have actually. Um, it's the last chapter in my first book, and it was terrifying. To be honest with you,
Did you
um,
did you run into
something
elemental out there?
there is that's what they say, but this isn't what the problem was. We'd been at the Hellfire Club before we came, and then
Okay.
we went to another castle and investigated there. And then I was with the Scottish Paranormal guys, and then we went to Leap Castle, and
Oh,
we were there about an hour too early. We got there at night, and they were having a party, so we were outside on this big long street that had hedges on both sides, and so we're out there, and it was kind of cold and windy, and I kind of liked it because I grew up in Chicago. I was like, this is my element. I'm digging this,
hmm.
and the other guys all jumped back in the car. And all of a sudden, I grabbed my eye and I told him, I said, it felt like a spear went through my eye and out the back of my head. Right. So, are you seeing something back there? I keep seeing you looking off to the side.
Oh yeah, my house is haunted.
I can tell you keep looking over like there's something over there. But anyway, it felt like a spear went through my eye and I started staggering. And, I did stunts for 43 years. Secret Ireland tours. Thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie's going to be on the tour too.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
but and I said to myself, because I started staggering, it felt like Mike Tyson punched me. And I looked down and I went, you know what, just go to the ground. You know how to fall down. Do it while you still
Mm.
can. And I started to and heard a voice in my head say, if you go to the ground, you'll never get up. Well, that's kind of the incentive program, not to go to the ground, right? So I did everything I could to stand up, and I kind of staggered over to the car, grabbed onto it, and one of the Scottish paranormal guys jumped out, and he got hold of me. And he's giving me water and everything else. They said, "Come on, get in the car." I said, "Leave me out here. It's cold and windy. That might give me a
Right.
push me a little bit." Well, it didn't. But in my book, the first one, actually both of them, if there's something gray behind the words, that means somebody else is telling that story. And I've always thought that if you're ghost hunting and you let somebody else who was there tell their version,
Mhm.
gives a lot more validity, right? If they're close, close.
Right.
And he just said, he says, I saw Rick hanging onto the side of the car with one hand and he was completely white. He couldn't breathe. He says, and we were really scared. We thought he was going to die. Now I get in the car and we pull up in front because now time has gone by. We pull up in front. The guys get out. I was like, come on in with us. I said, guys, just leave me in the car. Let me, get back together. So I'm just laying in the car and all of a sudden my vision starts going. I'm like, well, that's not a good sign, right? And then, do you remember the old time movies when they said this is it? It would go.
Yep. Yep.
That's what my vision started doing. I was like, holy crap, I'm dying, right? And
Mhm.
right then, from here down, now everybody's been on an airplane, and when those toilets that you flush and they go woof,
Yep.
my energy went woof right out of me, and I'm just laying in the car. My energy's gone. My vision is going, and I thought to myself, dude, you're dying, right? Because everything's telling me that. And finally, I just went, you know what? I said, I've gotten to see a lot more stuff than most people. I've got to do most of what I wanted. And if today's my day, I'm okay with it.
Right.
And actually, I was quite at peace with the whole idea, right? And it was funny because right after that, I felt the energy go and come back into me. And I'm like, what's going on? And then because I'd been holding my hand over this eye because it'd just been pouring water the whole time. And I opened my eye and my vision was clear again. I was like, what just happened? Right. So anyway, the guys come get me. I go inside after half an hour, I'm feeling fine, ghost hunted, everything was good. Well, here's the kicker. About a couple weeks later, one of the guys that was with us sent me a message. He goes, "You're not going to believe this. I can't remember the name of the other castle we stopped at." He said two guys at that castle had a duel, and one got shot through the right eye and died. So I figured that guy attached to me and was trying to show me what happened to him. And I think when I said, if I'm going to die now, I'm okay with it. He went, no, 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 no. I just want you, and backed away. And after that, I felt fine. Now I know that sounds like a bunch of baloney, but everybody saw
Right.
it. And I have no reason to make up stuff because I got a lot of stuff that happens to me, you know. So, but yeah, I've been to Lep Castle. It wasn't Lep Castle that caused it. It was a different castle entirely. So
Did you smell anything at Left Castle? They say that elemental smells like you can smell him when he's nearby, when it's nearby.
actually, I didn't because we were walking around so much. There was up in this one room, the chapel room, where I guess one guy killed another, his brother or his cousin or something over a girl. We were getting like it looked almost like clouds.
Mhm.
There inside it was like, wow, this is really something. But Lep Castle is thought to be the most haunted place in Ireland. Uh, I think Hellfire Club is absolutely just as haunted because we stopped there and we had a lot of stuff happen at Hellfire Club. Got voices that were talking directly to me,
Mhm.
saying, "Hi, Rick." I mean, I turned around to the two people who were standing next to me, and I went, "Wow, this is fantastic," because we were talking to a Frank's box, and I looked at them, I said, "Wow, this is fantastic. This tape is going to be great." And they go, "Oh, we weren't recording." Bonk. What do you mean you weren't recording? Jeez. So, but that was absolutely fascinating because one of my relatives, John Wilkes, had been a member of the Hellfire Club.
Hmm.
And he'd actually been the Lord Mayor of London, and he'd been a member of Parliament. And he hated the king, and he did everything he could piss the king off with. And the king did everything he could to destroy him. And he ended up giving a lot of money to the Americans during the Revolutionary War. And they actually named a city in the United States for him and another guy that gave a lot of money. It's called Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Right. So I asked him, I said, I asked the people, I said, hey, can I ask something on the Frank's box? They said, yeah. And I said, hi, my name is Rick. I'm from the United States. John Wilkes is a relative of mine, and I just came here to say hi. Couldn't say anything. I said, yeah. So I just really came to say hi because we're relatives. And it goes, relative? And everybody there looks up and goes, I said, yeah, you're my relative. I just came to say hi. And it goes, hi, Rick. And they all, I mean, now people are all starting to get a little, they're all crowding around. And I said, well, I have to ask you one question, because he got thrown out of the Hellfire Club because he was, muckraker, let's put it that way. And he had taken a baboon and dressed it like Satan. Now,
Okay.
and sent it in there. Now, this is a place where all these high-ranking guys would go to have hookers and booze and everything else. And he scared the hell out of everybody with this thing running down looking like Satan. More of the story is, and believe it or not, this is who it really was, the Earl of Sandwich started screaming and pushing the girls in front of him, saying, take them, they're bigger sinners. So he became a big laughing stock, and he did everything he could to destroy John. So he's the only member that's ever been thrown out of the Hellfire Club, as far as I know him anyway. But yeah, it was so funny that he said, then after I said, did you really do that with baboon? And we're sitting there, and then we hear through the Frank's box, baboon. Now, in the course of like, say, 4 minutes, you could get relative, hi, Rick, baboon. And I'm not actually talking to John Wilkes. I would be very surprised.
Right.
So that was really something. And we're actually, the tour is going to stop at Hellfire Club, going to go to Left Castle. So I'm really looking forward to it. I want to go now. Let's go.
Well, I'll let you in on a little something. You and I share a family member,
Who's that?
John Wilkes Booth. My cousin Josh, his last name is Booth and is related to John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, and I know that I'm related to John Wilkes Booth, and because John Wilkes is also related to John Wilkes Booth. So, yeah, there's I've got some famous relatives, and none of them are any good. I mean, there's Benedict Arnold, there's John Wilkes Booth. Who else they got in there? They got all these really lousy people. It's like, criminy sakes.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm related to the axe murderer Lizzie Borden.
Wow. I didn't know anybody. Oh, Lizzie Borden. I don't know if she did that or not.
There's no actual proof that she did do it. There's
I
never.
think it was. I think it was the painter.
It could be, yeah.
That's just my guess. I wasn't there.
Right. Yeah, she's a cousin. I'm also related to Vincent Price and Boris Karloff also.
Really, that's some two pretty good ones. I'm not really related to anybody cool that I know of. Well, one of the Civil War generals was the one that sent the body back, Lincoln's body back to Illinois.
Mhm.
He was a Northern general, and he sent him back. So our relative killed him. My other relative sent him to get buried. So it's strange.
Yeah, I ended up finding that lineage out through ancestry and stuff like that. That's how I found out I was related to the Warrens through my dad's side of the family.
Yeah, I don't think I'm related to anybody else that's famous other than Benedict Arnold and Aaron Burr, the guy who shot Hamilton,
Oh, okay. Yep.
related to him. And Aaron Burr actually got really screwed because they always said that he shot um, Hamilton after Hamilton had thrown his shot away. Now, back in the old days, if you decided you didn't want to engage, you shot up in the air, and that was the end of it. and
Mm.
then Aaron Burr just plugged him, right? And they said, "Oh, you murdered him. He threw his shot away." Well, they've done some research and found out that the guns that Hamilton had brought, one of them had quick, super hair trigger, right? And the other one was dialed up to be very slow. And the slow one was given to Aaron Burr, and the real fast one was given to, he kept for himself with a
Right.
very hair trigger. And if you remember how they did it, they would stand with the gun straight up.
Yep.
Now, if you got a hair trigger and you're going like that to shoot, boom, where's it going to go off? Up there.
Gonna go up
Right?
in the air.
And just the guy with the slow gun just took him out.
Yeah.
So,
Here's my cousin and Queen Elizabeth, Princess Philip, King Charles, Princess Diana, Prince William, and Princess Kate.
well, can't you get anybody that's good? Jeez. That's pretty good. Actually, I am related to supposedly three kings of Scotland.
And that's where some of my Reynolds line came from, was Scotland. On my dad's side.
Yeah, Scotland is, you have to go there. Russell, go.
Oh, it's definitely on my list. I wanna
And
go.
if you go, let me know and I'll hook you up with some good ghost hunts.
Okay. Awesome.
I've got a lot of friends over there that are, got a lot of places for us. We just went there. We went to Bannockburn House. We went to Castle Menzies. We went, to Balgony Castle. We got to go. Balgony is my favorite because the Laird was my friend, and he actually said goodbye this time. It was amazing. He had just passed away. He was in his 90s, and he and I, for some reason, had a real strong bond. Um, from just meeting him on the first time, he just really took me to the side and he asked me. I had blown out my knee. I had fallen in a forest, and we were talking. And I told him I was really into the Knights Templar, and he says, because there's Knights Templar stuff all through this place, right, which is really cool. So he asked me, he says, "Can you go up 3 flights of stairs with that knee?" I said, "You got a handrail?" He goes, "Yes, I can do it." So he goes, "Come on, I'm going to show you my private residence." So we go up there, and the Scottish paranormal guys are following along. And one of them whispers to me, he goes, "He's never taken us up there." And they're like the in-house group. He's never
Right.
done that for anybody but me. And we get up there, and it's the coolest place in the world. I mean, it's exactly what you would think in a castle. It's got that huge granite fireplace, the big wooden beams. And he was a fantastic painter, woodworker, leather worker. I mean, he was just an amazing man. And in his ceiling, he painted about this wide and that high each one of the 31 former lairds of Balgony Castle, and they're in his ceiling, the family crests. I mean, it's amazing.
Mhm.
So now he lets everybody go up there, but I was the first person that he ever let into his private residence.
Oh, nice.
So we got to be pretty good friends. And he told me some stuff about, he says, "Don't ever tell anybody this." And he told me some stuff about the Knights Templar still being around. Right. And I said, "How do you know that?" And he goes, "Because I'm in charge of them." Now, I wasn't going to say anything until after he passed away. And there's a lot of that in
Right.
his obituary. So I don't feel bad talking about that. But yeah, that was something we had. When we went in there, there was me, Cat Hobson from Fate Magazine, Laurie, uh, Mikey Thompson, another great investigator, and his wife, Julie, who was just getting started. And we put all of the stuff that could light up, the REM pods, the K2 meters, the Mel meters, anything that, the little cat balls, anything that could light up. And we were actually in the museum right next to the Laird's um, woodworking place. And we were actually ghost hunting with other people. They had a thing, ghost hunt with the Americans. So we had like 8 people come down, and they had 4 groups. We're going to come down for 45 minutes and go on. So anyway, they come in, and I introduce everybody, and we're sitting there, and I go, I always have a K2 in my hand. And I said, "Are there any spirits who'd like to talk to us?" And as everybody said it looked like it exploded in there. Everything went off at the same time, full power. We had 3
Oh,
people.
wow.
We had 3 people with K2s. They all went to 5 lights and locked. Right? It was, I've never seen them lock. right? So I kept trying to turn it off, and I was talking. I said to the spirits who's locked these up, could you step backwards so we can ask you questions? And it's so funny because Lori, Kat, and Mikey are all just kind of looking at me like, right? And I'm going, wow, this is something like that. And they went, oh shit, it's the Laird, right? Because it was his place, and all these lights went off, and they're all teasing me. They said, God, you're slow to catch on, right? But they all said it's him saying goodbye to me, so that was fantastic. But that's the story that's going in Fate magazine, about how everything went off. Kat described the REM pod went off. She goes, it looked like fireworks. She goes, I've never seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. And the real cool thing about it was the other three groups that came down, nothing happened. It was just that one goodbye from the Laird. And I really believe that's what happened. So
Yeah, it sounds like he ran out of energy to do any more. He used all his energy just to light all those up for you,
yeah,
and he let it get out.
it was fantastic. It really was. It was really something. And we were such good friends, and I could never figure it out. And I kind of always wondered, because I always had a strong pull to the Knights Templar, even when I was a little kid and didn't even really realize what the Knights Templar were. And when he instantly took a liking to me, I don't know if he knew me from another time, but it was really a super strong friendship, which happened instantly. I've never had that happen before.
Oh wow!
So yeah, when we were back there, we were doing a live. Actually, we were videotaping an investigation that went on another network, and he was laying in his hospital bed, which was down right next to his woodworking place. And while we were down there, I was in line. It had been a couple of years since I'd been there, and I wondered if he still remembered me. And he was talking to each person, and as he looked up and he saw me, and he reaches his hand up and he grabs my hand and pulls me down, and he starts whispering to me. And I stood up and I went, oh, I got to go outside. There's a lot of dust in this room. Now, I didn't fool anybody. They're all going, you big baby, get out of here. But it was really something. Yeah, I have to tell you another one. The very next day, I actually told Kat, I said, you know what? I'm thinking about quitting ghost hunting. And she goes, no, you're not. I said, no, I really am. And, because I've been doing it for 57 years, right? Still love it, though. But we went to this place, Inverness Cemetery.
Mm.
And I'm walking around my K2, and I am getting nothing for like an hour, just walking around. And I need a knee replacement. We'd walked 9 miles that day. So my knee is really sore, and I'm having a hard time getting around. So I'm looking around for a chair or something to sit on, and there's nothing anywhere near me. And I look right next to me, and there's a tombstone that looks like a table, looks like a bench.
Oh wow!
Right? So I just looked down. And I said, "I mean you absolutely no disrespect, but my leg is going out, and I have to sit down." I sit down, and the K2 instantly goes 5 lights. Bam! I mean, as fast as you can imagine. And the girl who was with me, she goes, "Whoa!" And I said, "Are you telling me to get up?" Boom, 5 lights again, instantly. I've never had anything answered that quickly. And I said, my leg is shot. I can't stand up. Can I just sit here for 30 seconds? And then it twinkled on 3 lights for like 15 seconds. And then it goes, bam, 5 lights again. I said, do you want me to get up? It goes, boom, 5 lights again, instantly. And I said, do it again and I'll get off. Boom, 5 lights. And she looks at me, she goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to get up. Right? But I mean, I have never had interaction that I was so positive that I was talking to the guy in the grave.
Right.
And I mean, I can't wait to go back there. I'm not going to sit on his grave again. I'm just going to kneel down and just touch it and say, hey, man, I'm sorry about firing you up. See if he answers me again. But that's why I told her, I said, when am I ever going to have 2 days of ghost hunting like these 2 days, the Laird and then this, right? And she goes, yeah, but you're going to keep going. I said, yeah, probably. She goes, you know why? I said, why? And she goes, because now you know for sure. I said,
Yep.
yeah, that's absolutely true. I do. There's not a doubt Right.
even when you step away from it, it draws you back in.
Oh yeah, I've never stepped away from it. I mean, sometimes I've had to take a break because there was no place to go. You
Right.
know, um, fortunately, I've been in several places. Our house in Texas was in my book. The first book I wrote down there, and I said the most haunted place in America, and it's not even close. And it wasn't. It was so freaking haunted. I mean, it was did stuff you can't even imagine. And yeah, I've seen a lot of really weird crap in my day.
Oh, yeah. I have too. I've been doing this 31 years now.
Ah, you piker.
So, yeah, it's always you always learn something new every time you go out. You always see something different every time you go out.
Yeah, I've learned sometimes I should have stayed home because I've gone home a lot of times and nothing happened. You know, I've been sitting there on a nice cold castle floor for like 2 or 3 hours and nothing happens.
Right. Paranormal X says we're doing experiments with energy. We are bringing lithium batteries with us for them to draw off of.
Well, when we were in the Laird's place, Kat had these big batteries to run her infrared camera,
Mhm.
all charged 100%. She put it in, blah, it turned off instantly. It was, pulled all the energy. She had us backup. She put that in, started to film, empty. Mikey had a spare one, gave it to her. She put it in, gone. So I mean, it was sucking all the energy out of everything. That's why everything was so lit up, and it was amazing. Still,
Yeah, they do. They draw off a lot. That's why us ghost hunters have an endless supply of batteries with us on every investigation we do.
well, the one that really got me was the bird cage down in Tombstone.
Okay.
I had fresh batteries for everything, and I had 9 pieces of equipment with me that I could set around because it was only me and Billy, the owner, ghost hunting the whole place by ourselves. And within 45 minutes, every piece of equipment I had was dead, all with fresh batteries.
Yeah, it happens. I went out and got a it's called an EM pump. And
Mhm.
it's got an EMF field so they don't drain your batteries as much. They can draw off the EM pump.
See, I'm not really a big fan of those because I think that can give you false readings by
Oh,
putting
it
more.
can. If you get your EMF detectors close to it, it will pick it up.
Yeah, so I don't like messing with those too much. Um, I imagine if you went in and did it in the room, half hour before you went in,
Yep.
then that might really help. But I wouldn't want to have it working while I was in there. You know.
Yeah, I usually don't. If I'm going in to investigate that room that it's in, I'll shut it off for a while we're in there doing our thing. And then if we're leaving that room to go someplace else, I'll turn it back on so they can go back in there, draw from it, and come
Yeah,
wherever we're at.
yeah. I found with the stuff I have, I don't have to have anything. I mean, it comes in waves at me. I mean, people tease me. They said, "How come you get so much stuff happening to you?" And we're standing right next to you, and it's not happening to us, but it's happening there. I mean, when we were in one of these castles, now Mikey Thompson is excellent, excellent investigator, and he's got more toys than anybody. And he's got a millimeter, and he sets it out, and he's got a tri-field, and he sets it out, and he sets it next to my K2 meter, and I start talking, and I'm getting 4 and 5 lights answers,
Mhm.
and his aren't lighting up at all. And he looks and he goes, "How is that even possible?" And I wasn't even holding it. It was sitting on the table with the other two.
And
So
some of us are like magnets to it. They're just
yeah,
drawn to us for some reason.
yeah. But you know what? It was funny. The same nickname came from Mikey. It came from the Scottish Paranormal Goes. They said, "Here he comes, the king of the K2." Because I get a lot of stuff with that K2.
Do you guys use a lot of spirit boxes and do Estes?
Yeah, we have. Matter of fact, one of the best Estes ones I've ever had was we were all over at the LAPD Museum, Los Angeles Police Department Museum,
Mhm.
and that's where they keep all of the big time crime evidence, the stuff from Marilyn Monroe, Charles Manson,
Okay.
the Hollywood North Hollywood shootout where they shot 1,700 bullets during a bank robbery, and both the robbers got killed. But there was a girl who I would say was 14, and her father, and they didn't seem to be connecting. They were standing there. It didn't look like they really wanted to be there, right? And they were just standing in the back, and I was like, how do I get this? How do I fix this? Right. So we just started to do the Estes method. And I went over to the little girl, the young girl. I said, would you like to do this? And her father had gone around the corner in another room to ghost hunt a little bit. And she goes, yeah, but can you have my dad watch? I said, yeah, I'll get him. So I went, I got him. I told him what was going on. And we were actually on a like 6 or 7 stairs that went up. We had a little room right there, and she's sitting there on the floor. And she is getting the most amazing stuff. I mean, amazing stuff. We're all kind of, matter of fact, there was one that I think they really screwed up on the people all that were with me, and I had to kind of slap them back into order. And they said, "Oh, she's on the bed. It's a blonde girl, and 2 people are there." And they went, "Oh, that's the Mansons." And I said, "No, it's not." And I said, "She was never on the bed. She was standing up. They strung her up and killed her." I said, "She's never on the bed." They said, well, "Who could that be?" I said, "It's real simple. It's Marilyn Monroe. They found her naked on the bed."
Yep.
And they went, "Oh, Marilyn Monroe." So anyway, when the little girl was done, she started getting in even deeper and deeper. And finally, I went, "Okay, this is getting too much," right? And I stopped the session, and I see her go down. And as soon as she gets to the bottom of the steps, and I could hear him, the father just grabs hold of her and gives her a huge hug. And he goes, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." And I was like, yes, it worked. But I hope they're still ghost hunting, because they were once she got into it and saw that. I think they're probably still out there.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of families that are doing it now. Like my dad and I were a father and son team. My dad goes with me on investigations. We do a lot of residential cases and people's houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff out there. I mean, it's hard to explain.
Oh yeah, it's
Mhm.
definitely hard to explain. That's why there's no professionals in this field, because we learn something new and see something new every time we go out.
I always get kind of TO'd when I see somebody that says professional ghost hunter. According to whom?
Yeah, right.
You can say experienced. You say, "Oh, you're not a professional."
No.
You know, I mean, between me and John Zappis, we've got over 100 years experience. Neither one of us says we're professional
No.
ghost hunters.
Yeah,
And
you.
besides that, you can't be a ghost hunter. You have to be something that the ghosts come to.
Yep.
Okay, you can't go out there, with your ghost gun like some of these people. They come to you. And somebody asked me, they said, "How would you explain how to ghost hunt?" And I said, "It's really kind of simple. Imagine in your backyard, you went and looked out there, and there was a little puppy, a lost little puppy in your backyard. What would you do?" And I said, "How would you get it to come to you?" And they said, "Oh, we talk, real nice. Hi, puppy," and real. I said, "It's the same way you do it with ghosts. You make them come to you."
Yep.
And I said, "Then sometimes you don't have to do any of that stuff. They just come right and whap, give you a smack right off the bat." So it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's you're dealing with something you can't see, right? It's they let themselves be known, and there's no doubt about it when they're communicating with you.
We have a question for you. So, what do you say to people who claim to be professional paranormal investigators?
I don't say anything. Let them call themselves whatever they want. Um, but just to be honest, they're not. Okay, no, there are no professional, you know, paranormal people. You can be extraordinarily experienced.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that has more experience than me. I've been doing this for 57 years. I mean, this is long before anybody was interested in ghost hunting. I mean, back when I started, you had a chalkboard and you had made
Yep.
little stick figures. There was no equipment there. And back, you know, I've been through the different stages of ghost hunting. And I remember like 25 years ago, people would say, "What are you doing?" I say, "Well, I'm a paranormal investigator." Yeah. And now you say it, especially with girls. Say, "Well, I'm a ghost hunter." "Oh, can I come?" Yeah. I mean, so it's totally rolled over and changed. So
Right. And we had another question. It says, "Do you like to include psychics or mediums when investigating, or no?"
yeah, I do actually, providing they're real. I mean, I've been with some that were so obnoxiously fake, and I've been with some like Lee Dunn from Scottish Paranormal, extraordinarily good. Heather Besser is extraordinarily good. Other people that I know, a girl out here, I can't think of her name right off the bat. Melissa St. Hilaire, I've done a lot of stuff. She's very real. Matter of fact, I'll give you a hint about Lee Dunn. We were in a place called the Toll Booth, which is in Coolross, Scotland, which is a lot of the Outlander stuff. And it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places. And there's me, Gregor Stewart, who's one of the guys who started Scottish Paranormal, Lee Dunn, Linda Whiteford, who's an investigator, but she runs all those buildings, right? So she's real familiar with myself. And we've been up there through the whole place, and now we're upstairs, and we've been there. This is where it's supposed to be really active. And we've been up there maybe an hour and a half. And finally, Gregor looks over at Lee and he goes, "Lee, are you feeling anything?" And now Lee's the psychic, and he goes, "No." Now that's the guy that I like.
Right.
Again, no. Most of them, if you're with some people, "Well, I do feel an energy in the corner, like something's trying to manifest. I think I see." Yes, it's a vision of somebody in white. It's like I just want to reach over and grab them and go, boom. Stop it. Yeah.
Paranormal X asks, if we're, what would that look like? Professionals, I mean.
Say that again.
They want to know, what would a professional paranormal investigator look like?
Well, first off, a professional would be somebody that's getting paid by someone. Okay, they have a job of doing that. Otherwise, they're all freelance entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
right? And I have no, I don't really mind them saying they're professional. That's just saying that they do things on a higher level, supposedly. And if they do, perfect. Call yourself whatever you want, But I think there's way too many people using that, and it's misleading people.
Mhm.
So
Um, Now, you were on Ghost Adventures with Kane and RA. How was that experience?
a lot of fun, except for they were on there with me. It's my group. Of course, they didn't have me on there for being famous. It was kind of those two, and then I got to go play along. So um, it was actually a lot of fun. Um, Anywhere I go, I get questions about Zach. Everybody asks me questions about Zach, and I'll
Oh,
tell you,
yeah.
he actually did a movie, and I stunt coordinated it for him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I also had an online magazine. He was the first person I had interviewed, and I got to tell you, he's very intelligent because I wrote like 2,500 word interview with him, and I sent it to him. I said, "Check this out. If there's anything you want me to change, let me know." Right. So, like within 5 minutes, he'd made like two small changes and sent it back. So, I mean, just writing that, changing it, sending it. I mean, it's like this dude's smart, right?
Mhm.
But he was always really nice to us. Of course, he was kind of afraid Kane would choke him again.
Well, he was probably intimidated between Kane and RA standing there.
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly tiny myself, because I double Kane. I don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah, I remember you saying something about that.
Yeah, and Kane has actually doubled me, so we're all pretty good sized guys.
I got to meet Kane a couple of years ago when he was out at Crypticon in Missouri. I was talking to him about some paranormal stuff when he was out here. We were talking about the Sally House out in Atchison, Kansas,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
and explaining the history to him, and he was fascinated by it on Sally about the little girl that got killed there from a doctor, and
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting things that I mean, when you come across some stories, they're just horrifying. You know, like the girl at Gettysburg who
yep,
was doing her ironing and got killed.
yep,
You know,
Jenny Wade.
yeah. So I mean, there's some of the stories are just so sad. You know,
April Mueller says Denise Pridemore is my cousin who was in on that episode of the show about the Sally House.
it's pretty cool. I know Denise and her husband Ron. Matter of fact, I was just on their show
I know them as well too. I'm pretty good friends with them.
a few days ago. So yeah, they're really nice.
We were talking about getting together, us and Denise and them doing something. They moved down to Florida now, so
Yeah, that's one of the hard parts about ghost hunting. When you know, like me and Kane and RA used to be 30 miles apart. Now RA lives in Pennsylvania. Kane lives in another state. You know, so yeah, it's it's getting harder, especially you know when you start getting up into your 20 teens. You know, that'd be a lot of teens. Let's put it that way. Um, yeah, but there's ghost hunting is just so magic to me when you think that you are actually talking to somebody who's on the other side.
yeah.
And it's not where you're going, well, it could be, but when it's something that is really real, and you're like, wow, this is something, you know, like with the thing with the laird, when I sat on the tombstone. I mean, direct, pound it in your face, you know. One of the places that I had the best K2 meter thing ever was 2 stories below in one of the travel lodges in Scotland. And I mean, we had a K2 session that was boom, 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 was answered every single question. I mean, it was awesome. And I have that on tape. I show that at different places that I'm invited to speak. And yeah, I'm invited to speak places, by the way, anybody out there, hello.
Yeah, April and Bettina, if you're watching,
Yeah, matter of fact, one that was really cool is I was one of the main speakers at LA Comic Con. So that was a pretty good, being one of there's 2 of us, you know, had a pretty good crowd in there too. So besides that, as you can tell, I like to talk.
that's
I
our
can turn,
we do a
I,
lot of the Paracons also.
well, I can turn hello into a mini series. So
Well, you're into the movies, so that's
well, that's true. Well, you know, my most famous part was in a movie called Hatchet 2,
okay,
where I
yep.
got chainsawed in the middle this way.
Okay, yep.
I don't say a word in the movie, right? And I
Mm.
think that Kane and Adam Green only hired me that way so they could shut me up.
Yeah, I do remember that in the movie. I
The
love
only thing I get to do is I get to turn and look at the camera and go, and then there we go. But you want to hear something very strange? Kane was out of town and they were starting up the new, well, it was the ending of Hatchet 2. And that was when Danielle Harris, who is also in our group, much better looking than RA,
I met Danielle.
and about a third of the size. Uh, they're fighting, and she kicks Kane backwards.
Mhm.
And the chainsaw that he used to kill me and Colton is on the ground, and he falls on that and saws him up. Well, Kane was out of town, so I had to go double him. You know, put me in the suit. You can't tell.
Right.
I think I'm probably the only person in history who got chainsawed twice in the same movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Or it might have been the start of the next movie. I'm not sure. So it's either way. It was either twice in the same movie or twice in 2 movies. So and yeah, Adam Green pulled a fast one on me too. In the very first thing when we get chainsawed,
Mhm.
he they put something in post-production that I didn't know they were going to do. And when the chainsaw hits me in the crotch, now behind me is Colton. He was hiding behind me, and it goes between him and lifts us both up and cuts us in half.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm in front, it's going. These two round objects that look like they're on strings start to fall out of my pants, right? And I'm looking at it. I'm up in the matinee area, right? And this was during the premiere. I mean, the place was packed down in Hollywood. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I see that. I'm like, what? Right? And here it comes. They drop again. And everybody's screaming bloody murder every time they drop farther. All the people up in the matinee area, turning around looking at me, right? And finally they fall off onto the ground, and the place just erupts. I mean, it was so cool. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to be the guy who got his nuts cut off forever now. So, and they actually used them in the next movie. They were up in one of the trees. And one of the guys comes up and goes, "What's this?" And Derek Mears goes, "Leave those alone. That's some guy's balls." It's like, great. Now my balls are in more movies than I am. Yeah.
Did you get to do any stunts in like the Friday the 13th movies with Kane?
No, I never did any of the Fridays with Kane. I mean, I did all 4 of the Hatchets. I mean, I've done 30 movies with Kane. We've gone all over the place. Australia, we did movie in, down in New Orleans. We were in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, New York. We've been all over the place. Upper part of California, Northern California. We were up there. All kinds of places. That's one of the nice things is when we would get to go to a different place, we would find a haunted area that was there and go to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we did our own hotel in New Orleans. Got a little bit, not too much, but yeah, that was one of the good side effects. I mean, look where we started. Mansfield Prison, one of the most haunted places. Have I been to Wisconsin? I think somebody just said.
Yep.
I actually went for a semester to St. Norbert College in Green Bay. So yeah, I've been up there, and that was before I had any equipment or ghost hunting or anything like that. But I am the world's biggest Green Bay Packer fan, and if I could turn my camera around, you could see that up on my wall, I have Green Bay Packer stock number 41.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my godmother gave it to me. She used to own the bar across from where they practiced. So when they came in, they were selling the stock. She bought one. Do I consider paid attraction sites like Sally's House legitimate? I've never been to Sally's House, and I don't think the fact that you're charging anything makes any difference to the spirits, just
Right.
to be honest. I mean, I know I've been to the Omen House, and they charge up there, and that's always got stuff. But on the other hand, you are letting somebody into your house, and they're using your space and everything else. So I have no problem with that. So I don't think it changes anything, to be honest with you.
Like us, we've done Waverly Hills Sanatorium, and that is extremely haunted. That is definitely lives up to its name, most haunted place in America.
Yeah, it was. I was there with Kane and a couple other people, and it was really haunted. The most haunted place in that part that nobody ever really goes to. They all like the death tunnel in room 504 or whatever it is. Is actually the foyer, the entry.
Okay, yep.
That's very haunted.
We had a door slam.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah, we actually went out there and sat out there, just one of us at a time, and with a recorder, and listened, and you can hear footsteps walking all through this big foyer on the linoleum. And one of our guys, matter of fact, Chris Carnell, he played the miner in My Bloody Valentine.
Okay, yep.
He was in our group, and he got killed in a motorcycle accident, bless his heart. And when we came back, now this is a guy that had just turned a car over like 7 times going 70 miles an hour. He doesn't get scared very easy.
Right.
And we came back to him and we said, how was that? And he goes, I've never been more scared in my life. We said, are you kidding? He goes, no. He says, I'm sitting here and I hear someone walking up behind me. And then I hear what sounds like a sword coming out of the scabbard right behind me go whoosh. He says, I've never been more scared in my life. So that was something.
Yeah, I've got some personal memories from Waverly Hills. We were on the 4th floor in the surgery room, so I decided to lay on the surgery table and have somebody wheel me under the light. We were yelling for a doctor, and I was coughing, playing like I was sick. But we had a motion sensor light sitting in the doorway. Well, that kicks on, and then I heard a noise, so I went to sit up, and I couldn't move. It was like I was being pinned to the table. And then we heard 2 loud female screams right there in the hallway, and there was nobody out there.
That was at Waverly.
Waverly, yep.
Waverly's really something. Matter of fact, what was really nice is I got my tour going through there, the hotspots from Tina. Tina Mattingly. Yeah, she's super sweet. Yeah, that place is really something. I can't remember if it's 502, 504, whichever the one where people get touched.
Oh, 502.
Yeah, we were in there, and I was with this girl that was with us. I didn't know her, but she was a guest. And we're walking out. She goes, "Oh," right? She goes, "Something just touched my face." And I was like, "Wow, that's what they say, that somebody touches stuff." And we start to walk out, and I feel something on my forearm go. And I was like, "Yeah, it just got me too." So we just go out. Now you know how it is. You go out 502 and you look down that long hallway, got
Yep.
kind of a curve to it. And my one guy goes, "I just saw something go into the next room." So I run in there after it. And part of the room is missing. I mean, there's a big hole in the wall. And I run in there and there's nothing in there but a couple of chairs, right? And I'm looking around and all of a sudden I hear, I mean, not very far from me. So I freeze. I figure there's an attack dog in there, security dog or something, right? And I'm just sitting there like this. I'm looking around real slow. I look into the other place and there's nothing in there, right? And I turn around and I look, and the other two people, the guy and the girl, are both looking, and their eyeballs are like this big. And I looked, I said, "Did you guys hear that?" And they're both like, "Oh." I said, "Wow, what the hell was that?" But I mean, it was so loud. It sounded almost like a lion. It was like, "Wow." And it wasn't very far from me. It was maybe 10 feet away from where I was standing. And I was at, you know how those rooms, the 504, is not very big.
Yep.
It's not a very big room. And the other one just had a big hole in the door. You would have been able to see anything that was in there, and didn't see a thing.
Paranormal X says we're toying with investigating attraction sites but one owner was turned off because of the cast of my show. He had no problem with the psychic, but big problems with the scientist. Paranormal X is a scientist and a psychic, and they have to coincide and work together as a unit in the paranormal field. And they bring in paranormal teams on the show to work with the scientist and the psychic.
Where is that show? I'd like to see that.
It's on YouTube. If you look up Paranormal X on YouTube, massive productions.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I think that maybe some people might be afraid of scientific evidence.
It could be, yeah. I mean,
Psychic stuff is always something somebody's coming up in their head.
hmm
You show me scientific evidence of stuff, and I'm kind of like, yeah, there it is.
yeah.
So they might be afraid of getting either something that would really scare them or something that would totally debunk their whole setup. You never know.
They said that's what we thought.
I'd like to have scientists with me, although I do have two nurses that go with me. So we're pretty good on checking up on stuff.
Yeah. What would you say your best paranormal experience is, besides those two that you told us about earlier?
The house in Texas. The first night I got there, I was there with a friend of mine. I was going down to visit my dad, and we hadn't been on the best of terms for years. So this was going to be kind of a big deal. And we got down there, and he had one of his business partners with him, one of his salesmen, and they'd been drinking at this bar because it was the guy's birthday. and drinking was a thing my dad was an expert at. So they said, well, we're going to drive Wally back to get his car so he can go home. And I'm like, what's wrong with this picture? You're drunk. He's drunk. You're going to drive a drunk to a car to drive home, and you're going to. Okay. Right. So I asked him, I said, where am I sleeping? He says, room over on this side. So I go into the room. Everybody's gone. I'm the only one in the house. And he's never said anything about the house being haunted. So I go in, I get in the bed, and it's a lady's bed. It's got the canopy with the lace trim. And there's a window right in front of me so that there's some moonlight coming in. So I lay down, and right here, behind my ear, I hear, I can feel like breath on my, like, the hell is that? Right? I sit up, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm hearing stuff. So I just lay down again, and it does it again. So I look around, and I still don't see anything. I thought, you know what? I wonder if he's got a dog. So I turn on a light, I get out and look under the bed, and I open up the closet. No dogs, nothing's going to make that noise. And I lay down, and it does it again. I thought to myself, I look up, and just up above on the right was a air conditioning duct. And I thought, oh, it's just turning off. And then I went, they don't turn off 3 times, 4 times, however many it was. Did you hear that? There's a big thump noise right here, right behind me, right here.
Yeah, it didn't come through on my headphones.
Yeah, it was like boom, and it was a weird sound. It wasn't like flop, it was like boom, right? But anyway, I sat up and I could see the moonlight, right? I'm looking, and what is this? And then I felt right here, as hard as you could do it, right? And I jumped out of bed, and it's, pretty dark in there, and I'm trying to get out, and I've got a slider lock on it, and I couldn't get the slider lock, so I just turned the handle and just tore the door frame loose on that side, and out I went. I was like, screw you, I'm not staying in here, right? So I get outside, and I'm standing out. My dad lived on a cul-de-sac. I'm standing out on the front lawn, and him and my friend come out. My dad gets out, and he starts laughing. I said, what's so funny? He goes, he got you, didn't he? I said, what do you mean? He goes, I said, you knew about that? He goes, happens all the time, right? So that was my first 10 minutes at the damn place. And we all sat down, and we were talking about ghosts. And my dad says, well, what are they? And I said, well, they're energy, right? And right in the middle of us, do you remember the old-time flash bulbs that you put at the top of the camera? Like one of those went off right in the middle of us. Poof! We're like, okay, this place is not normal. And it turned out to be extraordinarily haunted, very, very haunted. And I really want to go back there. But the man who lives there, his wife had recently died in the last couple of years, and he's in his 80s. And I don't want to go put things in his head,
Right.
So just going to leave that one alone. But I would love to go back there.
We had 2 questions for you. April asked, do you try to take a skeptic on investigations?
Yeah, we have one. It's called Kane. Kane's very skeptical. And no, I don't mind a skeptic, but I do mind somebody who's there to try and ruin everything. You know what I mean? There are some people that just, you can have like things manifest in front of you. Well, it's just a mist. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, get out. But I don't mind somebody who looks and says, well, it could be this.
Right.
Right. It could be. Right. So no, I don't really have a problem with skeptics as long as they don't try and ruin the party for everybody. You're fine to have your own opinion,
Yep. And my cousin Dawn asked, any investigations with cousin Johnny Zaffis?
No, but I have met John several times, and he's a really cool dude. So I'd like to go something with him. I think between he and I, that's probably the most amount of experiences you could find.
Yeah, I'd like to go on a investigation with John Zaffis. That would be an awesome experience.
Have you ever done it?
Never been on an investigation with him.
Well, you're related to him. Why aren't you going?
He's always so busy.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Paracons like crazy, John is.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you see a Paracon, John is there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're planning on getting together. I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
he's pretty cool. It's kind of quiet, but he's a pretty cool dude.
So he told me he's got some projects in the works when I saw him at Metacon, and so
Yeah. So, well, you got to get out there, pull that cousin card on him.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, come on, work it. Come on, Russell.
I've been trying to get him on my show, but he's so busy too, and with all these Paracons, and I've been waiting for him to kind of slow down a little bit.
He'll never slow down.
No, he won't. He's as bad as the rest of us. We just keep going. We don't slow down.
Well, plus he's a very popular guy, so he gets
Yep.
invited everywhere. You know, I get invited to like 3 places a year. You know, which is it's okay. I mean, I was doing all these live ghost hunts that had been through another venue, and we did those for a couple of years. So pretty happy about that.
Well, we hit our 9 o'clock hour. We got another show that's coming on after mine. I'd like to thank you for coming on. If people want to get a hold of you and book you for Paracons, ghost hunts,
Just go. You can go to Ghost Believe in Me on Facebook. You can go to Rick McCullum on Facebook. Hollywood Ghost Hunters on Facebook, and you'll get hold of me. And Secret Ireland Tours, because I'm telling you, this is 8 days of going through Ireland and just seeing the countryside and some really good ghost hunting. So if you're, and by the way, here's something, I'm not trying to be a salesman because I'm not, but she is taking time payments all along. So you don't have to throw out a big chunk of money. You can just pay a little bit at a time.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, it's about a year away. So I mean,
If you like to, you can share that link on my page as well too, so people can check it
well,
out.
we will do that. Because I want everybody to come have a good time. And thank you for having me on, Russell.
Oh, you're welcome. If you want to hang backstage for a minute while I close the show out, and
Sure.
I thank everybody for joining me, and we will see you next week, same time, same channel.